All right. So, do you ever hit play on a self improvement video and by the time it's over, you really don't even know what they said?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just noise. And yeah, I don't remember anything that was said.
Like, so the wild part is that we don't even feel bad about that in that moment. We just queue up the next video and keep going. We don't
Yeah.
even think about it.
Just keep scrolling but you're right. It feels like progress. I mean, you watched something, and I'm using air quotes with my fingers. You watched something about fixing your life. So surely something got in there, something like sneaked into your brain, right? But nothing
Yeah,
got fixed.
nothing did. Guaranteed.
Nope.
So we both got the shelves, right? The bookshelves with the spines cracked and the pages underlined. They really look well worn when you got the sticky notes hanging out the side.
Indeed.
Like you're building a case for something. You really need to get back to that little idea.
Sure. And if you ask either one of us, like, to actually live out, even half of what's underlined or noted, or even remember what the sticky note said, would probably struggle with it.
We'd struggle real bad.
Well, and it's not that the information is, wrong or unhelpful or anything like that. It's just information is never the real thing that's, going to work. It's not just information alone.
Yeah, so today is not telling anybody to read more or read less or watch more or watch less. It's about the space between actually knowing something and being changed by it. That gap is where most of us live, and we don't really talk about it.
No, and understand, again, we're not experts standing outside this gap and pointing at you. That's not us. Understand, we're standing in this as well. We're tired of pretending that we're not in the same gap.
I just pictured us standing in the gap, just pointing and laughing at people. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, but we'd be standing in the gap and they'd be pointing and laughing at us.
True. All right, everybody. I'm Bo.
And I'm Clint.
And this is The Nature of Everything, where we run everything through the coin framework.
And today we're asking, why do we know what to do and we still just don't do it?
This is the nature of everything. Don't stay stuck.
Okay, so let's actually sit with this because I think most people assume that this is a willpower problem. Like if I just wanted it bad enough, I'd do it.
Yeah, and it really is kind of a popular expectation and explanation of what's going on, but it seems to be mostly wrong. And there's a name for this in behavioral science, and it's called the knowledge behavior gap. So researchers have known for decades that knowing what's healthy or knowing what's right or wise or in your best interest, it actually has almost no direct line to whether we actually do it. Even though we know it, doesn't actually mean we're going to do it.
So it's not that we're weak, it's that knowing was never supposed to be enough on its own.
And there's also a quote that gets thrown around. Tony Robbins says, "Knowledge isn't power, it's potential power." For us, that's a great way to put this, is that potential energy doesn't move anything. You've got to actually turn something loose. That potential energy has to be released in order for it to do something.
I like that. And I like a lot of the science that we talk about because it takes the shame out of some of these things. You're not broken because you have that shelf of books, because you keep watching the videos. You're sitting on potential energy that hasn't been released yet.
And the mechanism for getting something done isn't about having more information. Everybody has plenty of information. That being said, I've read something before, probably going to butcher like what was the actual wording, but basically this says that behavior only really happens when three things show up at the same time. You want it, one; two, you're able to do it; and three, something in that particular moment actually prompts you to do it. So you can want something badly and still not do anything about it. If your actual day is nudging you in a different direction, you may want something, but you're not going to do it because it's like those three things kind of have to be there.
Yeah. So the books that we read, they're not doing anything because there's no prompt built around them. You can read that chapter on boundaries at 11 p.m. in bed and wake up and walk into the same kitchen or the same job, same conversation, whatever it is, but there's zero thing prompting you to remind you even of what you've read.
Sure, unless there is, right? Like if there's a prompt. So I think that is that other part where when those books or when that information does land, it's generally because there is a prompt that's kind of like existing at the same time. But here's what's sneakier, and I think this explains an awful lot. The illusion of explanatory depth. It's a lot of words. I'm sorry.
That
The
is, that's gross.
the illusion of explanatory depth. You don't actually need the label to figure out what this is. It's basically that we think that we understand something way better than we actually do. Even though you've never once had to perform this particular thing, your brain already understands this. Again, illusion of explanatory depth.
I relate to that. I mean, because I nod along to things, go like, "Oh yeah, I totally get it. I didn't get it."
Yep.
But
Yep.
it's why good salespeople have to rehearse their pitch. It's why we are stuck on the idea of practice so much, because you might be able to recite a script in your head or an idea, but until you actually get out loud and say it out loud and have some real humans to be bouncing things off of,
Mm.
you don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Sure. I mean, like you're talking about, if you can get some objective feedback or even some disagreement and pushback, because without it, you're right. I mean, that's the thought soup that we've talked about in the past. And so what you're saying, it does make sense. Like the salespeople and stuff, like a pitch can just kind of sit in your head in this vague soup of ideas until you're saying it out loud. And when you're practicing that, like that's how it gets that movement. And that's the moment that I think as you actually put these things out there and formalize it, that organizes this potential energy into something that you can actually use.
Yeah, because I don't think you fully understand something until that happens. Nothing gets confirmed as true or usable until you get it out of your mouth, out of your head, into action. I just don't think anything is usable until then.
Yeah, and to that point, I do think that that is probably what keeps us in the gap and keeps us stuck in those moments because we consume a lot. We see a lot, we hear a lot, we read a lot. And like you mentioned, I mean, we nod along and we're like, yeah, I get it. But if we don't actually say it out loud and confirm it, then there's nothing tested, there's nothing performed, there's nothing actually practiced.
It's funny because I listen to like really smart people. And so sometimes I'm nodding along, like, yeah, I get it. Like, how are we the same level of smart? And I just don't think maybe we are because I'm not actually practicing this. I don't do it out loud. I don't speak, about a topic and have to really connect all those dots. I think it's a big difference. It is definitely, like you said, a trap.
Sure. I agree. And just for note, I just want to say that since we talk so much, I'm figuring that when you're saying that you listen to a lot of smart people, I'm just going to go ahead and assume that I'm one of those. And I appreciate it. I appreciate you just coming out and saying it to everybody out loud. So that's one piece of confirmation.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's you. I cut out the recordings of you and listen in my free time.
Okay. Look, circling back around to this, I agree. One of the things that I was looking at is that comprehension with the stuff that we're feeding on, comprehension lives in one system of how our bodies and our minds work. But however, behavior change actually lives in sort of another part, another system within the brain and the body. And so the bridge between these two things isn't just understanding. It's actually performing these things and practicing these things that you take in, and you have to practice those under real conditions because that's what bridges the gap between what your mind knows and what you end up actually putting into your practice.
Even you sitting here listening to us explaining this isn't helping you. I mean, we're glad you're here. But I mean, honestly, it's kind of the trap that we're talking about.
Sure, and it can be, which is why the shift has to be from explaining these ideas and simply talking about these to actually putting them into practice out loud in real time, in real situations, like dealing with the actual scenarios, especially when people are watching, right? Like that's where the pressure comes in, and that's where real movement happens.
Yeah, that makes me want to run out of the room. But I mean, talk about the accountability piece because that's what's missing here. It's the missing variable more than anything else.
Sure. And there's research on this as far as how behavior actually spreads through the people around you. It's almost like behavior is contagious. Like how happy you feel that you are and how generous you may be with your time and your resources with others. Like, if the people around you are actually living those things out, and you surround yourself with people who are generous and live out happy in kind of fruitful ways, you're actually more likely to live that. And we know, but there are plenty of things out there that tell us surround yourself with the things you want to become. Like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So surround yourself with people who are smarter as you want to grow. Surround yourself with people who are successful in the areas you want to grow in, because that behavior is contagious.
It's really not about community feels nice, and it does.
Mhm.
It's a functional mechanism.
Sure.
Being around people who are actually doing the things that you want to do helps you to increase the odds of doing those things that you want to do. Like, you're the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with,
Mhm. Mhm.
which is when you got a lot of, teenagers in your life. I guess that makes me very immature.
I didn't say it. No, but you said it changes the odds, and I think that surrounding yourself with the right community and putting those pieces on the board correctly around you, I think it changes the odds more than all of the sticky notes falling out of the books that you haven't gone back and looked at. All the books on your shelf, if you're not actually putting that stuff into practice and closing that gap, then I absolutely believe that what you surround yourself with as far as human style influence, it absolutely changes the odds more.
But like, I think this is also where practice comes in, because I think
Mhm.
that there are stages of, like, I want to change something or I want to get unstuck or whatever. You don't just flip a switch and change. There's a
Mhm.
practice around this. There are stages.
I agree. I don't think that even in the beginning, I don't think most of the time you're even looking for a change or thinking about a change or trying to, such a wise way, conceptualize your next steps of change. I don't think that too often you're looking at it that way. I think most of us like just simply get stuck circling between thinking about what we want and then the analysis paralysis, like preparing and preparing and preparing and talking about it. But nothing in our life actually, is that catalyst. It's not the thing that actually forces us into acting on it and doing something intentionally about it.
Yeah. So don't go read another book. That's just going to keep you in the thinking stage. It feels like you're doing stuff, but you're just circling the same gap.
Which, like, that's why this episode isn't going to be adding another lap to the circle of book reading life, except for the fact that I do think you need to go get our book. If you haven't gotten our book, you should do that.
Well, that's a
Uh,
vocabulary book.
That's true. But this episode specifically is going to be about us like asking what would actually move you into that intentional action kind of phase, that stage to where you're moving forward and using what you know.
All right, Clint. I mean, you brought it into the room, so I think
Mhm.
it's a good time to talk about the book. If you've got a shelf, the coin book is actually helpful, and it's because it's the vocabulary for how you could use and create some of this change in your life and get unstuck.
As you utilize this book that is full of vocabulary and set up to help you use this framework, it doesn't go back on your shelf. It stays right next to you, whether it's by the bed, by the couch, wherever you're going to be sitting and you've got time, you're going to leave it right there because that's what it's designed for. Because realistically, as we keep circling back around to like community, and we talk about community on this show, it's not simply just to grow a following, it's because you need somewhere to actually rehearse this stuff. And you want to rehearse it out loud with people who will give you honest and objective feedback and who will maybe even push back on some of your false narratives or some of your stuck ideologies that's keeping you spinning and circling the drain. And you know what? These people actually are going to be the people that you want to have check on you later. And that's the whole function of what our view of community really is.
That's what we're trying to build right now. There's a forum at thenatureofeverything.com/community. And if you want in on this, just even to see what it looks like, go sign up.
And look, this is where we're actually going to apply what we talk about instead of just talking about it.
All right, so let's think through this thing using the coin framework, because I don't want to just leave people with go find some accountability and call it a day. That's not the message.
Never. It's not, that's never the message. And you're right. So let's start with confirm it. Confirming it means to be honest about where we actually stand, not where we wish we were. We're working towards that. And there's two honest confirmations really sitting inside this one piece.
Yeah, the first one is pretty simple. Maybe just say out loud, like, I'm guilty of just absorbing information and not using it. That's not an accusation. That's just a fact about what's been happening.
Yeah, and the second one is the one that we all skip past at some point, which is I don't have a community. I don't have the ability to practice this stuff alongside people of like minds. No group of people who are actually watching me try to live any of this out. I don't want that. I want to surround myself with that group that gives me that feedback and pushes me further.
You can't move from a place if you don't know where you are. And if you think you're already doing work because you read about the work, or if you think that you've got support that you actually don't have, you're just going to be trying to navigate from the wrong spot on the map.
When we're talking about, this navigation from where you are and where you want to be, if maybe there's information that you could run past other people so that you understand where you actually are, because that may clarify like where you are on your map. If we don't have somebody walking alongside us, then we can still just sit in this soup bowl full of information and not do anything with it.
Which is why we have to talk about ownership. And people like, I'm a marketing guy, people like me, we want to blame the algorithm, the industry, like the algorithm's going to make sure that I have way more information. It's
Sure.
never going to let me down on having more information. There were the 10,000 books published every year telling us that we're broken, but own it. Look, it's not about blame, it's about agency. Nobody's forcing you to file information away instead of using it. That's the pattern that you can actually interrupt.
And owning it also means that you might need something outside of yourself, thoughts and ideas and nudges that are objective and outside of you. That's not weakness. It's just accurate. The research on this, I dare say, is not subtle in any particular way. Like people change faster and with permanence, it sticks when you're around other people that are doing the things that you want, that are in the same practice. And if you're trying to do it alone with just a book, the sheer fact of the matter is that you're more likely to hang it up and I dare say fail. But what I would prefer to say is doing it on your own is most likely to lead to a practice that you give up on.
Look, and this is why I like that we move into be intentional, because it's practical. Because be honest, you can't read more intentionally. But look, pick a specific place in your life where you're gonna apply an idea. Like go grab one of those sticky notes and just open up to any of them. Because you probably actually did put that sticky note there because it was a good idea.
Sure.
So
Sure.
go grab one and
Yeah,
do it.
it landed at the moment, right? So just to your point, like you're actually intentionally manufacturing a trigger that you've been missing. So instead of just looking up to the skies and hoping motivation's going to somehow just like land on your noggin and push you forward, if you go and manufacture those triggers and put those into place, you're actually building like a structure that moves your behaviors into motion.
It's almost like all those little sticky notes were you prompting yourself for, let's say, right now.
Ta-da.
So, like, if you go back to that sticky note and you read something about not going quad in your relationship, being intentional isn't rereading that chapter. It's telling your spouse how you feel tonight or telling your friend your thoughts. It's, hey, I read something and I actually want to talk about this with you. Here's what it is.
And that's big, right? So like you even kind of went past that like pretty easily and quickly, but I get
Yeah,
it.
that's easy.
Yeah, when you're looking at this and you do have those trigger points and you have those pieces and look, I get it. We're talking about sticky notes and margin notes in books, and maybe that's not what you have, but the reference is the same. Like you have those things in your mind where you know you need to come back and dig further and find out like how to put these things in because it rung a bell for you. And so Bo says, well, it's like maybe there's a conversation you got to have tonight. Maybe it's a really hard one. Well, okay, like that's real. And some of those things need to be bounced off of someone. There's plenty of things that you can find out from others what that experience can lead to, what it can bring. Because when we start talking about changing the nature of everything, and we're talking about the entirety of the downstream of what happens in one honest decision, one honest conversation, one honest move that you make, we have to be honest. You don't change your whole life in one conversation. I'm not saying that a ton of things can't change in one conversation based on the content of that conversation, but that one conversation changes what's also possible for the next conversation and the next one, and the conversations down the road from that. So changing the nature of everything and how that affects the long game, it actually does come to bear with today's intentional practice.
It's the thing that we come back to often in coin. It's not a checklist that you finish. You're never finished. You're going to cycle back through again. You're going to confirm it on some new area of your life, and you're going to screw that up and you're going to have to do it again. Like that's all part of how practice works.
All right, so look, here's the actual ask that we're going to throw out there for this week. If you've got a that shelf full of books, and we recognize that your life just looks the same as it did before you read all of those books, or you maybe even just bought all the books, maybe you didn't read those either. They're just up there looking like you did read them.
You probably do remember one of those that was inspiring or an
Mhm.
idea. Like, go back to that one thing you know. Go back to that thing that you've already underlined. Don't go look for new stuff. Put it in front of you and do something real with it today.
If you don't have that shelf full of books, or if you have a shelf full of books that maybe it needs one more. Okay, I'm just saying maybe it could it could possibly need just one more. The coin book, all right, I gotta say it. It's not just another stack of ideas to file away in with old dusty sticky notes that you're not gonna go back and read. This thing's actually built to give you vocabulary to run this process and to utilize this framework correctly. So I do recommend one more book if you don't have it, and you should go find it at thenatureofeverything.com.
And if you're thinking like, I don't even know what my thing is, I don't know what my problems are, or I don't know how to solve something. If you want to have a coin session, that's why they exist. And a coin session is Clint and me, and we just talk about your specific issue and how to actually coin that. And we coin it with you and not just a general idea. You can find some information on the site about that too. And while we have you, here's one more ask, and it's simple. Find one person, anyone, and ask them to practice this with you. It doesn't have to be fancy, just somebody who can check in on you. Somebody, I mean, the word accountable is maybe a little tired, but it's the right word. I mean, somebody to support you.
Yeah, and look, if you're sitting there thinking, "Well, I don't really have that person right now. I don't know who I'd reach out to." Well, then let's get busy with this, because that's exactly why we're here building this thing at thenatureofeverything.com. If you are struggling with what that resource could be, find out what we're working on here. I think it's really for you.
And look, if you're sitting there thinking like, I already have that, I've got great friends, great family, that's awesome.
It is awesome, because that is something that you should cherish greatly. It's huge. But there's also a difference between someone being supportive of you and someone who actually is supporting you.
Supportive, that's a nice comment. That's well wishes. It's good vibes at the end of it. But it's still kind of just theory.
Indeed. So when someone is actually supporting you, they're actually in it with you, asking you like what happened, and what was the thing that you had to do, and how did that go, and like I know you were going to try this. And these are the folks, when they're supporting you, they're showing up for that specific thing that you're doing, whatever attempt it may be. And they're not just cheering from the sidelines with the attaboys. They're actually in the middle of this with you.
That's what we're trying to build here. We only want real people, real support here, real engagement, and people who actually show up for each other.
Look, I completely get it. I also recognize that, committing to things like this, I mean, that feels heavy, and it feels heavy to me as well. And I struggle often with the fact that I've got commitment issues to like applications and social media stuff. Like it's tough for me as well. So like committing to something like this feels heavy, and I'm with you on that. I get it.
But look, even if you're open to the idea, if some part of you deep down in there, if you want to be around people people that are doing this, and the only thing stopping you is kind of not knowing how or having the time. Well, that's exactly where this holds you up. And that is literally the whole point.
Yeah, and look, let's remind everyone, like, again, wherever you are, whatever you've got going on, you're not behind. You haven't missed the existential train to amazing. Like, it's still there. You're not broken. You haven't failed. You're just steady gathering feedback, and you're steady getting ready for your practice. It's like you've been collecting that potential power that we mentioned in the beginning of this episode. And you know what? It's time to stop simply just collecting that potential power, and it's time to turn it loose. It's time to get some traction out of it.
Yeah, go release some of that power this week and go do it around somebody out loud. Thanks for being here, everybody. I'm Bo.
And I'm Clint.
And don't stay stuck.
Before you go, just know it's time. Time to connect. Time to change the nature of everything. Find us at thenatureofeverything.com and don't stay stuck.